Hello and welcome to Thread and Yarn, my podcast where I talk about all of the clothes and things for my home that I've made, whether that's sewing, knitting, quilting, natural dyeing, all of that lovely coziness. I thought I would do a little autumn update. I've had quite a busy couple of months and weeks, and I've made some things that I have wanted to make for quite a long time and that I'm really proud of and really happy with. So I thought I would talk to you a bit about those. I've got one of them behind me and I'm wearing one of them now, which is nearly finished. It's very exciting. And I'd update you as well on the markets I've just done, as well as show you some of the things that I'm going to be popping on my website. It will be Friday, which is hopefully the day that this video is going to be released. So for you, if you're watching it the day I release it, it will be today. And I've got some native woodland inspired colourways of some yarn. So I'm going to show you a bit about that. I've also got my, let me grab it. I'm releasing, now that I've done Tetbury Wool Fair, the little sock pattern that I designed for it, the sheepfold sock, and the yarn kits that go with the pattern. So I'm going to show you a bit of that. I'm going to talk through my makes, and I thought I'd also I also went on a lovely holiday to Dartmoor where I did some walking and some camping, and I thought I would show you a little bit of that because I wore some of my homemade things, including the jacket, and I snuggled up in my half-finished scrappy quilt, and it was also just beautiful and really special to me. So yeah, if you fancy a little cosy autumnal catch-up where I show you some makes and some lovely landscapes as well across the west and the south of the UK, then this video is for you. So yeah, light a candle or something, grab a cosy hot drink, a craft project, and settle in for a little autumnal update. It's been a season of ups and downs for me so far, definitely more ups and downs. I've had some lovely cosy times. I've shared a lovely autumnal feast with my friends as part of our knitting group, which was magical. I also found out that it's likely that I'll lose my part-time writing job, definitely losing at least one of the days. So maybe I'll have more energy to focus on my making and designing, which could be an exciting thing too. I've also really enjoyed exploring my landscape more and crafting outside. Crafting outside is one of my favourite things to do. So where I am in the west of the UK, in Gloucestershire, the leaves have really started to turn. There's lots of shades of gold and rust and brown. I can see some bonfires as well on the hills. What I love about Stroud is that because we're nestled in amongst 5 valleys, literally wherever your house is, wherever you live, there is a view. And you can either see like the valley or the commons, and I'm in a housing estate on the edge of one of the valleys, and where I'm looking out over here I can see beautiful hills and churches and farms, and I can see the dots of little bonfires all throughout the hills, and I love working at my desk here and looking out at the different bonfires. I work as a gardener a day a week as well, and I just lit a bonfire actually this morning. That's what I was doing. I was managing that, and it just felt so autumnal. We were doing a lot of managing of the woodland part of the garden and sorting out some areas for growing in the spring. So that's all very exciting. And it's just got me really enjoying autumn this year. I think we've had a very mild and still autumn, like end of October and start of November here in the west of the UK, and I think it's really prolonging the autumnness. With the leaves are still clinging onto the trees, everything's quite still and it feels kind of preserved somehow. We've been sat in a deep fog and mist now for about 4 days, which is kind of spooky, but I'm also really enjoying it because I love a good spook. As you know, I'm a big autumn and Halloween fan. But I did go to the woods recently, yesterday actually, for a walk in the woods, and I took some photos of my jacket and of my little headband, which I'll show you later, and just the general atmosphere. So I've popped some of that footage up throughout the video just because it really gives me all the autumn feels. And I think one of the things that I love about celebrating this time of year is it's that point where we're crossing over into the darker half of the year, certainly where I live. And I like to find little bits of light and joy and hope and coziness amongst the darkness of things going on in the world, things around us in our lives, and find joy in the shared love and appreciation of natural fibres and of making things and of mending. And after my last video where I talked about that offhand comment I'd received about my mending video being too boring or taking too long, I had such a wave of response from you, and it was lovely, and lots of people who felt similarly that it's lovely to embrace the slowness of that, and our lives are busy and stressful enough as it is, and it's just nice to really appreciate your materials and, you know, not feel like you need to rush everything to have it immediately available. So it was really lovely to get those comments, so thank you so much. I met some of you as well at different wool fairs over the last couple of weeks, and some of you mentioned it to me in person as well, so I really appreciated that. So if you're watching, thank you. It was lovely to meet you and lovely to have all those really special conversations. Yes, so I think I'll start talking a bit about some of my recent makes, and with that I'll talk a little bit about how I've been wearing them and what I liked about the makes, what I might do differently next time, and probably talk a bit about my holiday as well, because that's where I've worn a lot of them and worked on them as well. So the most exciting one for me, which I've wanted for a long time and had the fabric for years, I think it's probably more than a year, is this Merchant & Mills Landgate jacket. So it's a oilskin jacket, at least I've made it in a cotton oilskin, Merchant & Mills own. I think the colour was called Citrine, maybe. It is a sort of dusky lime colour. It is quite bright, certainly for me, but it's not sort of neon or anything. It does have a dusky murkiness to it, which I always love. And yeah, it makes me feel like an explorer. It feels really classic. It's quite big. I made the size small. I'm a UK 10. I think I've got a chest size of about 35 inches. It varies. And yeah, but I like it. I like that it's big because it will go over a chunky jumper. It's got the drawstring channel in the middle, which means you can bring it in. And it's really quite warm, actually. I was going to line it, but I didn't line the body, and I'm glad I didn't, because I can layer up, and you don't always want loads of warmth. Sometimes you just want a water repellent layer. I did line a few things though. I lined the hood in this cotton check gingham, and to do that I cut out the facing pieces, which are a normal part of the pattern, and then I reduced the hood pattern piece width along the outside by the facing amount, making sure I had enough seam allowance to join the facing to the hood lining. I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't, then send me a message and I'll try and explain it again. But that's how I did the hood, or made the hood lining piece. And then I also lined the zip facing just for a bit of extra comfort. And I also lined the side seam pockets, which is a normal part of the pattern. It says to choose, I think it kind of says to choose, it implies you need to choose between the front sort of patch pockets with a little, not a lid, what's it called? Flap. And the side pockets. But I did both because I think, why not? It's simple enough. And I think jackets at least walking jackets for me, I was always stuffing things in, head torches, tissues, whatever, you know, your phone, maps. So all the pockets are very necessary, I think. I used these little greeny buttons that I had left over from my rota cardigan. I didn't need two, and they were just the right shade, which I thought, as I did it, super cute, but it's kind of annoying to get stuff in and out of all the time. And doing buttons, I think I would probably do poppers next time, maybe. But to be honest, this is already undone. I tended, when I wore it in Dartmoor, to leave them undone just so I could get in and out. I ran out of drawstring because I forgot what I bought it for, and I made my mum a little drawstring bag. And so I only had enough drawstring to do the waist channel. But there is also a drawstring channel that can go in through the hood, so you can tighten the hood around your face. I had a look at the forecast and it was not bad weather, so I thought that's fine. Otherwise, I might just pop a shoelace or something in it for the meantime. Yeah, I'm going to get some more at some point so I can finish that off, because that is nice sometimes to really close the hood around you. But yeah, I really love it. There's lots of little bits of top stitching, which I really enjoy, to be honest. It's kind of, yeah, like edge stitching, top stitching. I think it just makes it look really professional. I did and ah whether to use top stitch thread or just regular thread. I went for regular thread because I wanted it to be quite subtle, and actually I think it has a really nice effect. I'm quite happy with my thread colour match. It was quite difficult to match it, but I went for a more yellowy one than green, and it definitely blended in more. There you go. It's a better shot. And yeah, super happy with it. The insertion of the zip was fine. I just took it quite steady and slow, really, and chipped away at it over a couple of evenings and weekends. But it wasn't as complex as I thought it was going to be. It was just taking it steady with the top stitching, and the zip was the only sort of fiddly bit, I guess, but not any more difficult than other zips I've done, like on trouser flies or anything. So yeah, I've got a lot of wear out of this already. I've been wearing it most days. I often cycle to the post office with parcels of yarn or my illustrated cards and things. So it's really nice to have quite a windproof layer, and something that if there is a shower, it's totally fine. And it's been brilliant. So yeah, I'll pop some shots up of me wearing it in the woods yesterday, and also in Dartmoor. I took a lovely walk when I got to Dartmoor. It was I think I arrived at Postbridge, and I did the history archaeology trail, where I walked through a settlement, and you can see the remains of stone roundhouses. And I had lunch there actually, and it just felt really, I was absolutely dead quiet. That was on Halloween, and I just felt really moved being in somewhere, that had such history and was so ancient, on a day where it's nice to sort of reflect about ancestors. And yeah, for me, I think about Halloween and Samhain as a time to think about sort of the people that have walked the land before us, and try and sort of appreciate their lives and the impressions of them that are left in the landscape, and how they might have felt about the landscape. So it felt wonderful for me to have that day walking through the old settlements. I walked along the trail up towards some burial mounds as well, and then all the way up to Bellevator, which is an ancient rock pile, and beautiful views all the way around, and just stunning scenery. The whole experience was really special, and there were some lovely trees dotted through the settlement as well, lots of hawthorns and rowans, which I've always thought are quite sort of, they're beautiful native trees, but I've always associated them with a kind of magical touch, especially rowan. That's just in folklore. It's comes up a lot. So I had a wonderful day, and I was wearing this the whole time. So it makes me think of that when I wear this and when I look at it. And I think going on holiday on your own and going for walks on your own is a really different experience, and it was really meaningful for me, and I loved it, and it gave me confidence to do it again. Actually, I was a little nervous. I was camping on my own in my van in a campsite, well, in a farmer's field, and it was lovely. And as much as I love going on holiday, walking with my partner and my family, it was just a really liberating experience doing it on my own as well. I love to stop and take pictures of the things that inspire me, the different textures, the trees, cobwebs, stones, and, you know, just really like brings my imagination alive, and it actually makes me think about knitting patterns and all the textures in there, and that's why I quite like designing textured knitted patterns. And it was lovely to take it at my own pace and really sort of feel connected to the landscape, and the materials and everything around me. So yes, I digress a bit, but it all feels like one thing to me. It's an appreciation for my land and materials and how I want to experience it, and be a caretaker of it and a champion of it as well. We're very lucky in the UK to have some wonderful ancient sites like that to be able to visit, and access to those sites is, you know, is what's the word? Delicate, at risk, with yeah. So it's, I really want to celebrate having access to those spaces, because I hope that long continues. But there are some who wish to restrict access to land. Without getting into that too much, I had a wonderful time exploring it and connecting with my history, I guess, on a day where that feels extra poignant. So that's my jacket. That's a bit about the making, a bit about my thoughts about it and wearing it around. Have you made the landgate? I had some good tips from people as well. So there was a lovely Patreon member who said that she was going to line the zip facing. That gave me the idea. And somebody commented on my last video about the landgate and said about extending the hood, and I did actually extend the hood by about 1 centimetre, not loads, because I've actually not got a particularly big head, not like deep anyway, and but I'm glad I did actually, because although I didn't need to draw it around my face, I feel like, especially because I wear glasses, it's nice to have a little bit of a peak, and otherwise it would have sat kind of on my hairline, and so I did extend it a little bit. So thank you for that tip. That was really useful. I think a solid make, really practical, really beautiful, and I will get loads of wear out of that. Already have. The other thing I've been making and sewing recently that I did also take on my trip is this quilt. So I think I showed you in my last video the scraps that I was going to use. I can't remember if I already started sewing, but I put all the top pieces together. Some of them are really quite big, so it didn't take me very long, and I'll show you. Check I hadn't lighted any candles, I didn't want to set my core on fire. So some of the pieces are really quite big, like you can see here. Look at this big blue bit, but I'm still quilting. They're all from garments that I've made things from, and it just feels lovely to see them all in one place. I've had a lot of these scraps for a while. Like this is from a Anthea blouse I made maybe 3 years ago. This is from my Aura pinafore dress. All sorts. Also this dusky pink colour. This was from a by hand London? I think that's what they're called. Hannah dress. The wrap dress, V-neck wrap dress. I just never got on with the shape of that bodice. It was always gaping. No matter what I tried to do, it just didn't fit right. And the Zadie fits me really well, and I love it. And I just knew I was never going to wear the Hannah dress that I made from this fabric. So I left it in my wardrobe for years, not knowing what to do with it, feeling guilty, you know, one of those makes. But I just decided to cut it up and put it in here. And it was really, yeah, it was very cathartic. It was lovely to feel like it was being used and not just sat there. but the amount I'd hacked it as well, trying to fix it, it didn't really feel like in a condition that I wanted to sell it on, so it just sat there. So now it's in my quilt, and it's super soft linen, and it was really nice actually to have a lighter colour against a lot of these moodier colours. So it's been well loved and incorporated into here, and I have a bit left over as well because I'm going to make a hot water bottle cover from the matching leftover scraps. But yeah, when I finished it, I'll do a video and a photo of the whole thing and hold it up standing back so you can see it. But you can kind of get the idea. It's super cozy. So it's this quilt top, and then I've used bits of cotton, hand loomed cotton for the underside. I had to cut it up quite a bit to get it to fit, because it is 1.9 meters by 1.9 meters. It's a square. It's that size because I wanted it to be able to double over in my van, if it's just me in there, or it's enough for both of us for both in there, and then it will fit on the spare room bed, which is right here, right by my feet, when it's not in the van. So yeah, it's really heavy. The wadding is 1 layer of bamboo and cotton blend, and then on top is a layer of 100% wool. So it's really insulated, really warm, and I had this doubled over me in the van, and it was quite mild while I was away, so it was perfect. And I have safety pinned all the layers together, but I haven't finished quilting it. But I really wanted to take it with me for warmth and for coziness, so I did anyway, and it was brilliant, and I was so glad I did. But I'm just at the moment, I'm hand quilting it with Sashiko thread, which is a cotton thread, Japanese, and I'm just doing long lines, keeping it simple, and I just love the look and feel of a hand quilted quilt. I just think it makes it so supple and soft looking. Whereas I do have machined quilts as well, and they're lovely and they're super neat. But I think they are a bit more like, they look a bit more decorative and a bit more compressed almost. But I just wanted to go for ultimate coziness and snuggliness. So I went for hand quilting, which I'm really loving in the evenings actually. I've been doing a lot of knitting lately, and it's just nice to do a slightly different movement with my hands for, you know, looking after wrists and things. So I'm really enjoying this, and it's just, you know, mindless. I can just do lots of stitches, and it's very therapeutic and relaxing. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm really happy with it. That's another project I've wanted to make for a long time, so it feels good to be doing these and taking them off. Try to put it there so you can still see it a bit. Just doing some quilting, and I've got my little needle book with me, which is a little quilting project that I gave out in the recent autumn Patreon box for those who chose the sewing option. Just a little bit of natural wool felt and a little patchwork quilted needle book. It was great to take with me actually, because you can safely store your quilting needles or your sewing needles, whatever you want, anything sharp. And I popped it in my bag and then took it with me camping. It's a pretty dark and moody autumnal day, so it feels like a cosy thing to do. So yeah, I had half done by the time of my holiday, and I'm just working on little bits in the evenings to finish it up. But the hand stitching just gives it such a nice supple, soft feel, as does the linen. So I'm feeling very cosy. Yeah, what else? Oh, so my Pelica vest, I think I had cast it on in my last video and I was knitting away. I've finished the knit. I did the short version and I am just in the middle of attaching buttons, as you can see. I started last night at my knit group, but it got a bit dark. I didn't have the right needle with me. But they're these beautiful little wooden buttons, handmade ones from laburnum wood. Oh no, they're not, sorry, they're yew. I nearly bought the laburnum ones, but I went for the darker yew. And I bought them from Marina Skewer at the Tetbury Wool Fair, who is a lovely dyer. She uses all natural fibres. I think they're all very local to her. She uses lots from Fernhill Fibre, the farm in Somerset, and yeah, we had a good chat and have a lot of things in common, and it was lovely. So I bought these buttons off her, which she hasn't made, but a man called Tom Dyson, who she knows, has handmade them. And I thought they would be perfect with this vest because it just feels very earthy and it feels very nice to have some handmade wooden buttons. And they're quite chunky as well, which is nice because this Pelica vest is quite chunky. It's garter stitch, and I've used my own Jacob wool to knit it. When I say my own, I haven't spun it, they're not my sheep, but it's from Cornwall actually, and a little mill there, and I've dyed it, I've naturally dyed it with the walnut tree just outside. And I've called it Jacob Winter, this yarn, because it's so warm, and Jacob has, you know, it's quite a rustic, robust yarn, but it's got loads of, I mean, I had a lot of lanolin on my hands when I was knitting. It was very woolly, very sheepy yarn. It's tough and it's warm. It's water resistant. It's great. This is the worsted weight. There's also a sock weight, which is closer to a sport than a 4-ply. I'll talk to you about that when I show you this sheepfold sock sets, because I've designed that with that in mind. But this is the worsted weight one, and it's really got a proper structure. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it's quite really sort of holds its shape, which I really wanted with this. And I've made it so it sort of sits at my waistline. You can see the top of my bob pants here. I love the colour of the sort of olive with the blue of the bobs. I think that's really nice. So you can wear it open like this, or when I finish doing the buttons, it will sit like that. And I just think it's such a nice solid layer. The garter stitch and the Jacob just make a lovely pair, I think, in terms of feeling very structured. There's some nice details. There's I-cord all around the edge of everywhere, and applied I-cord along here, which you then pick up. But yeah, I really recommend the pattern. It was a very quick knit because this is garter stitch and a lot of it's flat, so you can just go back and forth. Really nice, easy knit, which is a real refresher of a project. And nice to make something just for me. I've really enjoyed making a lot of samples recently for markets and things, but it was nice just to make something just for me. So that was lovely. And now I finished it, I realised I don't have a knit project on the go. But instead of casting on something new, I'm going to pick up a long languishing whip, which is the Wilderness sweater by Fibre Tales. I think I shared that in my last autumn video from last year, and it was just something that was a bit tricky to do in the evenings because there's quite a lot of textured knitting around the yoke, and I really wanted to focus, and I was feeling quite tired and it was quite dark. So yeah, we'll see how I go, but I'm going to take it steady. It's just a piece I would really like. So yeah, I might start working on that, and then when I just want to chill out, I'll work on hand stitching my quilt. So those feel like some really lovely makes. I'm feeling really happy with them. It feels like the three of them are really complementary and that I have really needed them, and I feel like I'll get a lot of wear out of them, but I also think that they're all beautiful in their own way. So it seemed like a lot of you were knitting the Pelica vest when I talked about it last time, so I'd love to know what you thought of it. There were a couple of head scratching bits at the beginning. I think that was just getting used to a different construction. I've been really, writing my own patterns recently and knitting things from similar, same designers. So I think when you start knitting from a new designer you haven't knitted with before, there's nothing wrong with it, but you just got to shift gears in your brain a little bit and think, somebody's communicating in a different way. But I got used to it, and it wasn't much getting used to be honest. It's a great pattern. But yeah, very happy I made it, and I wore it to my knit night last night, and I had to take it off to try and sew the buttons on. But yeah, I think a few of them want to make it now, and my partner's going to make himself one, I think. I do have some more of this yarn left, but not enough to make one with. I've got 2 skeins of the olivey colour, slightly less bright than this. But if you wanted to do a colour work one, it would be, you know, with any other Jacob yarn that you've got, then it would probably be a lovely combination. Oh, that reminds me, because it is a slightly less bright olive than this, I used 300 grams to make this size. I think I knitted the small size. Well, that's what I had dyed up for it, which seemed like it was going to be enough. But I was just a bit short, which is really annoying. So I'll just show you. But I had to start changing to the less bright colour, and I was worried that it was going to ruin it a bit and transition the colour too much. You can see that there's a slight fade as you come down here, but I'm quite happy that I started striping it. About here, and did it in a way that it's less obvious on the right side than it is on the wrong side. You can see I've got these like proper lines on the wrong side, but I can't remember how I did it. Sorry, but I think the row that I started on meant it like blended the obvious like purled stitch with a bright colour and then a less bright colour, whereas on the wrong side it just shows, do you see what I mean, the delineated lines of different colours. I then totally ran out by about here, so I had to knit in the less bright colour, but I think because I'd faded it for about this much, it made the transition not very obvious at all looking at that. So I'm really glad that that worked. I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit of an error, didn't know what to do. And the walnut tree's gone now. The leaves are, you know, they've fallen off. The colour's gone. So I was, and you know, trying to dye something the exact same shade again with natural dyes at a different time of year, forget it. So but it worked well. So I'm happy with that. That fade is quite subtle and delicate, and actually it's a nice reminder to me about how the colours do change, because I dyed this less bright one about a month after the one before, using the same volume, exactly the same process, but I think the pigment had faded a bit, and it feels like a true evolution of the colour of the tree. So that feels kind of nice to have that in my vest. So also that ends well. So these are my recent makes. I spent ages talking about just 3 makes, but they're all quite important to me in different ways. So I thought I would show you some of the yarn and some of the patterns which are now ready to release on my website, because I went to Tetbury Wool Fair and I went to Stitch Fest in Devon and had a great time. Tetbury in particular was really lovely. It felt quite intimate, and there were lots of locals there, both, you know, makers and also people that had travelled to the wool fair, which was really lovely. And I met quite a lot of you in person at both events, and that was really special, and I really appreciate everybody saying hello who recognised me, especially at Stitch Fest. I felt a little overwhelmed at first. I had quite a small little stall, and then either side of me quite big ones. I did have a lovely neighbour who was helping me out quite a lot on one side of me, because I was on my own, she covered my stall and I needed to nip out and things, so that was lovely. But at first I felt a bit swamped. I've never been to such a big yarn festival, and it was really lovely that some of you came over straight away and said hello. It just made me feel really relaxed, and it was just really nice to have some friendly chats and hear what you're getting up to, and hear the things that you were excited about. Somebody came and showed me the market mitts they'd made, and that was lovely as well. So they were good markets. I had fun, and so now I've got now I can release my sheepfold sock, because Tetbury Wool Fair is over. It's the pattern that I designed for it, and it's inspired by the long-standing history of sheep farming and wool production and processing in the Cotswolds, which is where I'm based and where Tetbury is. And I just wanted to celebrate that. So I've done these silly little sheepies on socks. It's a very simple sock with just some colour work, and I've done a few different colourways, and they're all inspired by different sheep fleeces. So this is the Cotswold, and it's got a yellow walnut base, just like the Cotswold stone around, and then it's got the creamy off-white Cotswold fleece, which is just one contrast colour on this one. Let me get the kit. Here you go. So this is knitted in the Jacob winter sock. As I said, it's a really woolly wool. If you are sensitive to wool and find woolly wool scratchy, this is not for you. This is a proper like boot sock. I love it as a gardener. It's plastic free, and Jacob is a traditional sock yarn in the UK. It's tough. I've worn Jacob socks for years, 100% Jacob. You have to darn them eventually because you have to mend all things, and that's fine. I'd still rather do that than introduce plastic into the world, a new plastic anyway. So but they are robust. So I've got a few of these left. You can see it's a slightly different colour to my sample because it's a different dye lot. Again, nature, the walnut tree leaves. Yeah, I think they're cute. And then it's got a natural Jacob fleece colour to do the, ironically, to do the Shetland sheep. Nope, to do the Cotswold sheep. And a little contrast toe. And the other colourway, or one of the other colourways, and this is the sample my partner knitted for me. I think it's neater than mine, typical. So they've been knitting a year, and he's probably better knitted than I am. This is the Shetland colourway. This is also walnut, but is dyed with madder as well, and it's created this lovely sort of rust colour. And there are two contrast colours with this one. There is the off-white, and there is a little bit of gold to do the sheep faces and little toes, a contrast colour, with a contrast colour toe as well. So really nice warm sock, proper like, yeah, go for a walk and then come in by the fire, go to a pub, have a cup of tea, soup, think of all the cosy things. The last colourway in the Jacob winter sock is Romney. So Romney, oh, it smells nice. Romney is a sort of dusky lilac colour. It's slightly variegated with a little bits of pink through it, quite dusky. And then the contrast colours are the natural white and the natural grey. So you can do the sheep body and the toe in the natural sort of off-white, and the little sheep faces and toes in the grey. So I think they're all really sweet. That's the three that are left. I think there's a couple of this one and maybe just one left of this one. But I'm going to pop them all on my website. They are, I think the only sizes left are the small to medium. So I would say up to maybe like a UK 7. If you want to make a really big sock, you might need to supplement it with some additional wool. Just because I've sold out of the medium to large ones. But what I would do is, keep weighing it, seeing what you have left, and try not to go past the halfway mark. But I have put in extra, so yeah, I always add in an extra amount. But as long as you keep tension, that should be absolutely fine. But yeah, if you wanted to make a really big sock, then you might need to add a little bit extra, because these are 115 grams in each set. But it's a heavy 4-ply, like near a sport weight, so it does get used up more quickly than a 4-ply sock yarn rather. Yeah, so that's the Jacob Winter Sport colours. I know that some people don't like a sort of tough, sheepy, woolly, more like rustic sock. So I also did some sets in my Corriedale yarn, which is another plastic-free yarn, but a bit softer, well, much softer. Let me grab them. So the colourways that I have left in the Corriedale are the Cotswold. So similar idea. It's got the sort of gold colour, slightly paler than the Jacob, because I'm dyeing on a lighter base. Corriedale's got a lighter fleece than Jacob, and the little cute white contrast. I tied them up in this navy check fabric, which I thought looked really sweet. Corriedale's really soft and silky. And then there is the Romney colourway, which is a sort of dusky peach, pale rusty sort of base, and then there's little like a grey lilac to do the contrast toe and the sheep bodies, and a little white to do their faces and their little toes. So yeah, that's those. I think they make here they are, a cute little bundle. And yeah, I've loved knitting up the socks. I'm going to knit myself a pair, I think, in some Corriedale as well, for when I want less warm socks. But they were really fun putting together the different sock sets and choosing the different colours that I was going to make. They're all completely natural dyed, all completely plastic free. And yeah, I hope you like them if you choose to make them. I've got the sheepfold sock pattern as well printed out. So if you buy a kit, it will come with the pattern and with the yarn, obviously, and it says what to cast on based on whether you choose a Jacob or a Corriedale in terms of the size. That's those. The other things I've been dyeing, let me show you. I've got some other Corriedale, and these are inspired by native and naturalised trees and shrubs. I've been loving going for walks lately in the woodlands, and I've been taking inspiration from the different coloured trees around me. Also smells good. I've got Rowan, which is a rusty sort of red, mid-red, orangey, dusky colour. And then this one is Ash, I think. Yep, Ash. It's a sort of dusky greeny brown with orange and rust and olive through it. That's actually a real favourite of mine. Got one of those left. There's Willow, which is a very gently variegated dusky green and brown. There's better pictures on my website because I'm losing light here now. It's only like 3:30 and I'm losing light. And yeah, you can just see there's some bits that are like a darker green, and there's some bits which are a bit more goldy, but really inspired by the sort of pale sagey green that you get on the willow leaves. And this is dark myrtle. So myrtle was a colourway I did in the spring, and this is a much darker, moodier version of it. So it's a dark sort of grey-green base with gold and olive and a little bit of dark grey, dark brown throughout. I think that would make a really sort of witchy, moody sock. I like that one. And then this is birch. So I love birches, and there's a birch tree outside my bedroom window, and it's been going gold. It's started to drop its leaves now, but that inspired this colourway. So it's sort of a beigey base with deep orange and gold and bits of dark grey through it. Really sort of a pale autumnal colour. There are others as well, but I don't want to go on for ages about them. They're all on my website. And I've also got a folklore DK, which is 100% blue-faced Leicester, and that is like a proper autumn colourway. This is designed to go with my folklore hood. If you fancied making a really autumnal folklore hood, it's like a mid-rusty brown colour, red colour with some deeper bits of red throughout, and there you go, some red and some like ash colour. I thought they looked like embers, and some gold and orange to that one as well. So I've had lots of fun dyeing up beautiful autumn colourways and getting really inspired by the nature around me. So those are all on my website. I feel like I'm rattling through things now, but there's only so much storage space on my phone for filming. Yeah, the other thing is I made this cute little headband. I wore it last time in my video, but it's perfect for gardening. It smells really smoky because I was wearing it this morning in my gardening job doing the bonfire. Here it is. I put some shots up as well of me wearing in the woods yesterday, and my little fellow headband, which I'm really liking on humid or slightly chilly days. But it's just a really nice sort of easy to wear cozy headband. I'm getting much more used to wearing headbands now. When I first put it on I was a bit unsure, but it's great for keeping my hair down when I'm gardening, and it's really cozy. thank you also so much, Casey from Young Folk Knits, who featured this headband as part of her new patterns released in October. I had a little flurry of interest after that, so thank you, Casey. That's really sweet of you, and felt amazing to see one of my patterns up there against so many wonderful designers. So much appreciated for watching. I put some kits up as well, which I think make really lovely little gifts, either to yourself or to someone else. I've got 4 colours you can make it in. I'm wearing the Harvest colourway at the moment, which is a sort of really deep warm gold. But there's also a Campfire, is that Campfire? Yeah, which is this orangey colour. And then there is Russet, which is a sort of dusky pink. And Saxon, which is this blue. It just felt like a really historic blue to me. I've been watching so many documentaries about Anglo-Saxons and just generally history documentaries recently, listened to podcasts and really enjoying going on history-inspired walks and reading books about archaeology. It's been a passion of mine for a long time, but I'm kind of feeling like I've got the energy to get back into it, which feels nice. Anyway, so this is inspired by that. Woad was very commonly used across Britain as well as a colourway, as a colour. It was used for war paint, it was used to dye clothes, and it just felt like a really historic blue. So that's dyed with Woad, that one. Yeah, so those are the colours, and you can choose one of them if you like, and comes with a printed pattern. And I thought it would make a really cute little gift for Christmas. So those are also in my shop. So I've been busy, but lots of lovely things, lots of really cosy things. I've really loved exploring and experimenting with natural dyes this year, and sort of being inspired by the colours as well and the textures of nature when I'm thinking about the patterns. This features the little seed head pattern from my fallow sock that's inspired by rebuilding soil health and encouraging regeneration of land and soil and environment. And just like the fallow sock, I'm donating 20% of any sales from this to different regenerative soil charities. 6 Inches of Soil project is what I've been donating to so far, who've made an amazing film, so check it out if you haven't seen it already. They've also got a book, I think, talking about different farmers who are focusing on regeneration of land. I've also restocked my shop with some market mitt kits. So that's my little market mitt. It's a very simple little striped mitt pattern, and there's a choice of either a green based kit or a blue based kit. So those are up in my shop as well. Yeah, so I think that might be all of my updates. I thought I would show you a little bit more about my holiday in Dartmoor as well if you're interested, just some videos at the end. The other thing is I released my knitting retreat tickets last month, a couple of weeks ago now, and I think all but 2 places are booked. So that's really exciting. I'm really over the moon that some of you who came to the sewing retreat are going to join me again for the knitting retreat. That feels wonderful to see you again, and to know that you'd like to come back to see Lucia and I, and to have a lovely cosy weekend. And I also met one of you at the market as well, so that was delightful. I'm really glad you said hello. I know you weren't sure whether to. I'm really glad you did, and I can't wait for February. There is still one of the loft dorm spaces left, and there is one non-residential space left as well. So I know that some people wanted to book a non-residential place, stay elsewhere, and come and join. So there's one place left if you'd like to do that. Or if there are any locals to Stroud and you would like to join for the day, then please, by all means, do. Or if you'd like to join in the dormitory in the loft, then there's one space left. And I cannot wait to have a cosy weekend of knitting, of going for a gentle walk, lots of home cooked, nourishing food in the depths of winter. There are going to be lots of candles, lots of fires, lots of coziness, and the dried flower wreath making as well. So yeah, check it out. That's on my website, and I've got a special video about it as well if you're interested in coming to the west of the UK in February. And yeah, I'll leave you with some little shots of my walks in the woods and my walk in Dartmoor. I hope you have a cosy autumn, and I hope that you're all doing well and that you're finding some light as we move into the darker point of the year, and whatever darkness is going on around you, that you can enjoy this cozy community and really enjoy the fact that you are, engaging in something and making something beautiful, and that being creative and valuing our resources and valuing each other and building hope I think is really important at the moment. And I think that making things in a similar way to growing really does instill hope. By its nature, it is hopeful because you are thinking about a future and you are building something and you are making choices that are conscious and thoughtful, and that's what we can do. And I think that's really important and not to be diminished. So that's my closing notes. But I hope you have a cozy autumn. I hope you enjoy your projects and that you've liked this video. Please say hi, and I'll see you again soon. Sending lots of love.